Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's time for Below Grade Level. Hold on to your butts, Kemosabe. Hello and welcome to Below Grade Level, the show where we take the books we've read as kids and read them as adults and ruin them. I am one of your hosts, Jonathan Eaton, and with me as always is Bekah Eaton.
Hello.
And Chris Zaleski.
Hello.
And joining us today, returning guests, returning champion, my brother, Jason Eaton.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. It's a short week. I had 2 days off so far, and
nice.
I keep thinking It's Tuesday, but it's actually Thursday.
Yeah.
I don't care what day it is.
Pretty awesome. I mean, I never really know what day it is.
Yeah, I know. It's amazing.
I'm not going to say no to less work. So we are reading My Teacher is an Alien by Sir Bruce Coville. And I'm guessing, I know we went over this the last time you were on the show with like what stuff you're familiar with. And your time reading these kinds of books is before our time. So yes. I'm guessing you've probably never heard of Bruce Coville?
No, I don't know. Fear Street. Wait, is this Fear Street? Is that what you said?
No, that's R.L. Stein.
My Teacher is an Alien. He also wrote My Teacher Flunked the Planet. He also wrote Space Brat.
Space Brat. I never read that.
No, that's all after me. I knew Hot for Teacher. That was about it with teachers.
Tell me more.
A Van Halen song. It's just,
I was just going to say.
It was a book, and I was like, can we do a crossover?
I was also.
CD reads?
I thought it was a book, too, and I was going to be like, oh, David Lee Roth. No, he is, as he's talking about.
No, that's the only teacher thing I could think of.
Gotcha.
Sorry.
I forgot. I looked it up last time. This was published in 1989.
Yeah, 1989. I don't know when I read it, but I definitely read it. It would have been, I'm assuming, early 90s.
Was this part of a series like Babysitter's Club, but for paranormal fans or something? Or
not as expansive. It was just he was a very popular children's author.
Okay,
cool. Yeah. So
it was like somewhere in between picture books and like full-blown novels.
Yeah. What's it called? Chapter book, right? That's what they call it?
Yeah. Chapter book.
A chapter book.
I'm excited to get into his body of work.
Yeah, well, let's do it.
It's good.
We're starting with so last time we read chapters 1 through 5, and if you are listening and you remember what happened, that's great. And if you don't remember what happened, here's what happened real quick. Susan is our main character, and she's a smartass. Peter is, I think, our other main character, but he's actually barely been in it. Like, he's on the cover, and then
he was the first character introduced, but then he disappeared for a while.
Yeah. Peter's a bookworm. He's a real Chris Zaleski. And the class is really upset because their previous teacher that they all loved, Ms. Schwartz, we had a lot of trouble saying that last time, is gone. And she's been replaced by a substitute teacher, Mr. Smith. And he's a real stick in the mud. And so Susan wrote a note about what a stick in the mud he is, tried to pass it to her friend, Stacy Benoit. But Mr. Smith snatched the note when he collected the tests. Susan got kind of scared. So what any sixth grader would do, she followed her teacher home to break into his house, assuming he's going to be grading the papers, to steal the note, except what she finds in the house is an alien named Broxholm. And he was talking to aliens through a mirror and something about his plan. I don't remember because
the alien sounds very British.
Broxholm is.
Yeah.
Oh, well, we have been doing him with Carrie Elwes accent.
Her and her friend did describe him as handsome, but I don't remember why
we landed on Carrie Elwes.
I think one of the
came
illustrations
up with Carrie Elwes specifically, but I don't remember why.
I think one of the illustrations in the book, he kind of looked like him.
That's
the Dread Pirate Roberts, right?
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about.
Yeah. Wesley.
Wesley.
So yeah, that was and the last thing that happened was she left, and the next day in school, Mr. Smith handed her shitty note back, was like, I think you dropped this, or something like that. Maybe some sort of cliffhanger. I don't know, let's find out what happens. Chapter 6. Drafting Peter. Into the war against Broxholm.
Yeah.
I sat at my desk and stared at the note. What was going on here? Was Broxholm playing with me? kind of fucking alien mind game was this? For a moment, the thought that he was actually being a nice guy crossed my mind. Maybe I could change him. I brushed it away. Nice guys don't kidnap 6th graders and drag them into outer space. You know, I decided it was more likely he was just sending me a message. And that message is, I've got your number, kid. Don't mess with me. I was so wrapped up in trying to figure out what was going on that I could barely concentrate on my work. Most of the time, I just sat and stared at Brock's Holmes. If you thought we had a hard time saying Ms. Schwartz last time, we're going to be saying Brock's Holm a lot. I sat and stared at Brock's Holmes' face, trying to figure out how the mask was attached. When I started to wonder if there was any way I could pull it off, my imagination began cooking up a horrifying scene. In this daydream, I saw myself grab Brock's Holmes' ears, begin pulling on them, trying to unmask him. Only the mask wouldn't come off, so I pulled harder. Suddenly, his face began to stretch and twist all out of shape, but still the mask wouldn't come off. It was gross.
Usually when you daydream about something, aren't you
in control
successful in the thing that you're attempting to do?
Yeah.
You're not daydreaming a failure.
Yeah, you're not daydreaming and it's like out of control unless you're literally asleep and then you're just dreaming.
Maybe she's asleep at her
desk. That's called a daymare.
Stop it, I told my brain firmly, but the vision kept coming back. Sometimes I wonder about my brain. Susan, don't all of us. I mean, it seems to have a mind of its own. Your brain seems to have a mind of its own. If it was really my brain, you'd think I would have a little more control over it.
Wouldn't brain, Jonathan?
Yes. I feel like her mental instability is rubbing off on me. When you get right down to it, brains are pretty weird. What the fuck? What am I reading? Okay, but not as weird as having an alien for a teacher. Back on track. By the middle of the morning, I was beginning to wonder if this whole alien business had been a bad dream. It seemed too impossible to believe.
Sometimes I think this podcast is like just a trick for you to practice your reading aloud.
Just practice my reading.
Oh my God. Please have somebody on that's like typical elementary school, like, and then she read the thing from the thing, like monotone serial killer shit. Oh, and how I turned the AC off and turned the little baby fan on. Is it better? Does it matter?
Actually, I think it is better.
Sure,
yeah,
it's fine. I didn't notice, but I only have one ear.
I'm suffering for your craft.
Good.
Good.
The more you suffer, the better.
Yeah, how's it feel, Jason?
Use it in your performance.
This podcast is actually a slow burn to break me down.
That's what I always tell people when I'm being a mean director.
But I knew I hadn't been dreaming. It was real. My teacher was an alien.
She said the name of the book.
I couldn't wait to get Peter aside so I could talk to him.
Oh.
When recess came, I tried to act calm as I wandered over to the wall where Peter usually sat to read.
Oh,
Peter.
That's so sad.
He was sitting on the ground, cross-legged, clutching a book called A Princess of Mars in his skinny hands. His hands are skinny.
Wait, is that a real book?
Yep.
Yeah.
By Edgar Rice Burroughs.
Oh, wait, isn't that the
John Carter?
John Carter. Yeah.
Oh,
Mom has a first edition of that. Maybe ask her and she'll yeah. Actually, I think she has the entire stack. That was one of the things that she took.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Shit came out in the 40s.
And they're some old ass looking books.
I was gonna say there was a lot of stuff at our grandmother's that is probably worth a lot of money.
All those
is
Bond
this
books?
English?
Oh, the Bond books. I had
Yeah.
the Bond books.
Yeah, I know.
They got damaged, unfortunately, a little bit, so they're not in a smoke room.
Not by
No.
us,
Yeah,
to specify. Just
By drugs. Drugs did it.
it was drugs.
You can edit all that out, but
I'm not gonna. It's fine.
good. Hi, Steven.
Don't do drugs.
Cheers.
Kids. It'll ruin your old Bond books.
If Steven knew what a podcast was, I'd be fucking shocked. I slid down
Fuck
the wall
you,
and sat
Steven.
beside him.
I get to see him listening like, hey, what the fuck?
It's like radio, but you subscribe to it.
Oh, man, you steal a phone and you push this button. Oh, fucking shit. I'm going to hell. More truth juice.
He acted as if he didn't notice me, or maybe he really didn't. He was one of those kids who could get so wrapped up in a book it would take a bomb to break his attention.
Chris.
I hated to interrupt him. Peter always seemed a little unhappy to me, like he understood that he just didn't fit in with the rest of us.
Oh.
The only thing I knew that made him happy was reading science fiction.
Oh.
Chris,
Chris, you're gonna. Oh, poor Peter. He'll discover the Smiths.
Oh, the first 5 chapters were rough for me. Okay,
it's okay. One day Peter will be in a mug club somewhere, and he'll be happy.
He always had a book hidden behind his school book. The neat thing was, it didn't make any difference because he was so bright that whenever the teacher asked him a question, he always knew the answer. I could never figure out why they wouldn't just leave him alone and let him read. But that's the way school is, I guess. I used to get yelled at for reading ahead and told to stop reading ahead. Like we would have a class period where you're supposed to read, but only a certain amount.
Mm-hmm.
She's a free thinker. Get her.
Yeah.
I'm like, should I stare at the wall instead of continue reading and learning?
Yes, and dig the stitch.
You'll make the stupid kids feel stupid.
Yeah. If those kids would if those kids could read, they'd be really upset right now.
Look at this idiot. He's dragging us all down. Now, pay attention.
Christ. So what's going on? I asked. What a stupid line. I'm glad I'm a girl because when I get older, the guys are going to have to come up with lines when they want to start a conversation.
Wow.
Now there's one job I'll be glad to let them have.
Math is hard.
Holy shit. Susan's on the ball.
Jesus, Susan.
Peter lifted his nose out of the book and looked at me as if I were the alien. He blinked and I realized he was trying to come back to the real world. I felt bad for interrupting him. In class, he had to read with one eye on the teacher. Out here, he probably planned on shutting everything out for a while. I hesitated for a minute. How was I going to say this? Finally, I decided to jump right in. I need your help, I said. Peter looked surprised. For what? He asked.
I realized I hadn't jumped in after all. The biggie was still to come. Because Notorious B.I.G. wasn't releasing albums yet when this was published. Promise you won't laugh at me, I asked. Peter shrugged. Sure, I promise. All right, listen. I know you're not going to believe this, but I found out something awful yesterday. Mr. Smith, handsome Mr. Smith, is an alien. He's come here to kidnap a bunch of kids and take them back to outer space. I held my breath to see what Peter would say. I thought he might laugh or tell me to get lost or, and this thought really scared me, shout it out to everyone else. To my astonishment, he didn't do any of those things because they would be uncharacteristic of his character up to this point. He just looked as if he was going to cry. What's the matter? I asked. You should know, he said. He sniffed and wiped the back of his hand across his nose. What was going on here? I had a sudden thought that maybe he was an alien too. That was stupid, of course, but I had aliens on the brain and I couldn't figure out what else it might be. Oh, I love this book.
As we've already covered, her brain bad.
Yeah. I don't know, I said. Honest, I don't. He looked at me and his eyes were so sad they made me want to cry too. I always thought you were the one kid in this class who was on my side, he said.
Oh.
Like that time you tried to stop Duncan when he was beating me up. I expect everyone else to tease me. I just never thought you would do it.
Peter.
Now it was my turn to be mad at him being a dumb boy. I'm not teasing, I yelled. Then I lowered my voice. I'm not teasing, I hissed. I'm serious. Peter stared at me. Is this some kind of game? He asked. I hesitated.
Peter.
If I told him the truth, he probably wouldn't believe me. If I told him it was a game, he might have.
You already told him the truth.
Through. What a fix.
What a fix.
What a
fix. The only way
fix.
I could get him to believe me
Call
was
the
to lie to him.
presses.
Yeah, I said. I thought you were the one guy in this class with enough imagination to play, but now you've ruined it.
What a fix.
Dumb.
He's in a
Damn.
dilly of a pickle. No, said Peter. No, we can still play. Just pretend you had to tell me it was a game to get me to believe you. My head was starting to spin. Peter was using my reason for lying as a reason to pretend that what he believed was a game for real reason.
Oh my God.
Or something like that. This was getting too complicated for me.
Yeah, and me.
Yeah. This is going to be one of those weeks, I thought. The only person I can count on for help stopping an alien invasion thinks the whole thing is a game. Well, as my grandmother...
It's going to be one of those weeks.
It's going to be one of those weeks. Well, as my grandmother always said, you make do with what you've got. And
Did you say they're in 6th grade?
I think so.
So they're like 10, 11?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just the weight of the world on their shoulders.
It's like gonna be one of those.
It's gonna be one of those weeks.
It's gonna be one of those weeks. All right, guess I better call my broker.
Also, like, it's supposed to be funny, so it might be an attempt at humor.
Yeah, I guess preteens are like.
I don't see. I feel like the people reading this book will be around that age. I don't really think they're gonna understand how odd that word choice.
Maybe it's Bruce Coville like making himself laugh. Like, if I'm writing this shit, I might as well
enjoy it.
Trying to a ham-fisted attempt at talking about the reality of like bullying.
It's like a Pixar movie where there's stuff for the adults too.
Yeah.
So grandmother said, make do with what you got, and Peter was what I had. I decided to stop worrying about who was believing what and just tell him what had happened. Well, I said when I was done, what do you think we should do? Peter stared at the sky for a minute. He rubbed his chin as if he was thinking really hard. And then he gave me his answer. My chin hurts. We've got no choice, he said. We'll have to break into Broxholm's house to look for evidence.
Yes.
She's already done that.
That's
more
true.
Evidence.
Here, do this page also because that was the short one.
Okay. Chapter 7. Night Expedition. Peter was right, of course. That was the worst thing about it. And what did I say? Now that I had someone who was willing to help me and had actually given me some good advice, did I say, thank you very much? Are you kidding? I looked at him and said, you got to be out of your mind. I am not, said Peter indignantly. If we're going to go do anything about Broxholm, we have to have proof. And the only way to get proof is to get into his house and find some. And I thought about that. I couldn't come up with any way around it. How else could we find proof that we were telling the truth? Then I thought of something else. I don't think it's going to do any good, I said. There's not much in there, and he doesn't have any furniture or anything. Well, how do you know that? I told you I was in there yesterday. Oh, yeah, I forgot. I could tell he still thought I was making this up. Did you see the whole place, he asked? I shook my head. Indeterminately, apparently. Well, maybe there's something in his bedroom, he said, or the attic, or the kitchen, and his face lit up. That's it, the kitchen. Who knows what they eat on the planet he comes from? I bet we'll find all kinds of gross alien slime in his refrigerator. Peter, you're brilliant, I said. I was actually starting to feel hopeful, and we needed just one thing that would prove I wasn't making this all up. Now, when can we do it, I asked. We can't let him catch us.
I'll read this one, and John can read when he gets back. Peter thought for a minute. There's a PTA meeting tomorrow night, he said. I heard Dr. Bleakman say that all the teachers have to be there. That's the only time we can be sure Broxholm will be out of his house. Tomorrow it is, I said. That was Wednesday. By the time Thursday afternoon rolled around, I was a wreck. Oh, I guess by that was Wednesday, she meant the day that just happened. But tomorrow being Thursday.
Yeah.
I
like
was
today.
a wreck. Yes. I spent 2 full days sitting in that classroom, staring at Mr. Smith and knowing his handsome face was only a mask that hid the terrifying face of an alien. While none of the other kids were crazy about Mr. Smith, they didn't think there was anything really wrong with him. Only Peter knew the secret, and he thought it was a game I had invented. What about Dr. Bleakman? He said to me during afternoon recess. What about him? I asked. Do you think he's in cahoots with Broxholm? They seem pretty chummy. They do talk like old-timey, like Newsies kids.
Yeah. Do you think he's in cahoots with Broxholm? They seem pretty chummy, pal.
I shook my head. My mother told me Dr. Bleakman was really...
Page.
Why do you want to sit here in silence so you got back? You can read the next one.
Jonathan, poop on your own time.
I got to read the word cahoots and the word chummy.
I would have done such a good job with those.
I fucking nailed it.
Ah, shit.
She did. I felt like I was in a speakeasy.
Dr. Bleakman was really angry with Ms. Schwartz for quitting so suddenly. He wouldn't have been upset if he'd been wanting to put Broxholm in her place. Peter looked at me in astonishment. Don't you know a cover story when you hear one? He asked. Of course he acted like he was upset. If he hadn't, it would have been suspicious. The way I figure it, Broxholm asked Dr. Bleekman which teacher he wanted to get rid of the most. Then he zapped Ms. Schwartz so there would be a spot for him to fill. I felt like there were ants crawling on my skin. Peter was just playing a game, but what he said had made sense. Too much sense. I couldn't believe that Ms. Schwartz had just quit without saying anything to us. Something must have happened to her. My head was whirling. Was Dr. Bleekman really in on the whole thing? Had Broxholm really fried Ms. Schwartz? If so, what would happen if he caught Peter and me in his house? What would happen if any adult catches you breaking into their house? If Broxholm found some way to get himself excused and came home early to catch us rummaging through his house, would he zap us too?
Oh, no! The last question really terrified me. But if the ideas Peter was spinning out were true, what? I'm glad that you said what also, so it wasn't just me struggling.
If the ideas Peter was spinning out were true.
Okay. But if the ideas that Peter was spinning out were true, it was more important than ever that we unmask Broxholm. I just remembered that she's Hermione.
Oh, right.
How are you going to get us out tonight? I asked Peter. What do you mean? He asked. What do you mean? What do I mean? How are you going to get out of your house tonight? I had no problem myself. My parents were officers in the... I was a latchkey kid. My parents were officers. Officers in the PTA. What?
Badges and everything.
Yeah, like when you get like home to home, like open up PTA. The fuck does that mean?
Maybe one of them's treasurer and one of them's secretary.
One of them's deputy sheriff of the PTA. My parents were
one of those meetings. They get rowdy.
My parents were officers in the PTA, and they always went to meetings. They had decided at the beginning of the year that I was too old for a babysitter, so as long as I was back before they got home, it wouldn't make any difference. Latchkey kid. I didn't really like sneaking out on them, but this was a matter of life and death. Peter looked at me in surprise. Are you really planning to break into Mr. Smith's house? He asked. Again. His name isn't Smith, I said. It's Broxholm. And yes, I'm really planning to search his house. I couldn't bring myself to call it a break-in, even though that's 100% what it was.
That feels very Hermione, though. Like, she would definitely dance around the truth.
She'd be like, I'm not breaking in. I'm searching for villainous things.
Evidence. It's about semantics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If it was Voldemort's house, she'd be like, who's going to be mad about that?
Yeah. Like we were just rummaging.
Rummaging, exactly.
It was just a gadabout, a rummage.
It's a sojourn. I have to have some way to prove what he really is. Peter looked troubled. He rubbed his hands over his skinny face. Then he
is he like emaciated?
I know, right? Like, is he a little?
Are we straight up? Are we straight up just doing her as Hermione now?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
That's what we did last episode. I forgot.
Only in dialogue, though.
Only in dialogue.
Okay.
It's too much otherwise.
Yeah, we don't want to beat a dead horse here.
Yeah. He rubbed his hands over his skinny face, his fingers raking his gaunt cheeks, a look of hunger in his eyes.
I'm just like
and remember, his chin really hurts.
They just sound like adults, like their mannerisms and dialogue sound like adults. So I'm just picturing like a full-on adult, like really fucking hard day at work, like
shit.
Peter lit another cigarette and looked into the middle distance.
It's gonna be a long night, doll.
Yeah.
Then he looked at me straight in the eyes and said, "This isn't a game, is it?" And I shook my head. At that moment, we weren't children anymore.
It feels like a noir.
It does.
Is Peter a detective now?
Yes. Oh my God. Yes. Peter's eyes got wide. He swallowed a couple of times.
11-year-old kid in a giant trench coat.
Then he took a deep breath and said, "Don't worry, I'll be there." I could have hugged him. But I didn't.
Remember, we're children.
We're children. And I got no time for skinny little Peter.
Well, I punched him real hard to let him know I had a crush on him.
That night, I met Peter at 8 o'clock on the corner of Pine and Main. He was carrying a flashlight, which made me feel stupid since I had forgotten mine. Good job, idiot. It was nearly dark. The crickets were singing and the moon had already risen. Even though it was May, it was cold. Or maybe I was just cold because I was scared. Ready? I asked. And Chris, remember, Peter is noir now.
Peter nodded. Ready, doll, he said. We each took a deep breath. Then we set off for the alien's house.
Hang on, Chris. Say that we each took a deep breath again.
We each took a deep breath.
Yay! Again.
Then we set off for the alien's house. I was afraid you might not come, I said after we had gone a few blocks. Peter shrugged. I didn't want you doing this alone, he said. For a while, I was afraid you were trying to pull a fast one on me. I thought when I got to the corner, you and some of the others might jump out and start laughing at me. Taking me for a rube.
It really does sound like it's like he's a detective now.
Hey, I said, I wouldn't do something like that. I didn't think so, said Peter. That was one reason I came. The other reason was I figured if you really were going to break into Mr. Smith's house, this must be for real. You're not the kind of kid who would do something like that unless it was serious. I didn't make that line up.
I know.
Believe me, I said, this is serious. I believe you, he said nervously. We didn't say anything until we got to Broxholm's house. Well, said Peter, here we are. Here we are, I echoed, but neither of us moved. We just stood there looking at the dark, empty house. I don't know about Peter, but I was trying to talk myself into taking the next step. To tell you the truth, I was so scared I thought I might wet my pants.
Gross.
Am I still going? Or?
Yeah, keep going because that was short.
All right. Chapter 8, The Alien's Lair.
Yay.
I don't know.
Yay.
I don't know how long we stood there trying to build up enough courage to go in. I do remember looking up at the sky. It was as dark as black velvet, and the stars were like diamonds scattered across it. I'm loving this. Which one of them did you come from, Broxholm, I thought, and why did you have to come here? I heard Peter sigh beside me.
Wait.
Isn't it wonderful? He asked, swinging his arm up and out to indicate the entire sky. Don't you want to go there?
What? Space?
Huh?
You've been reading too much science fiction, I said. Come on, let's get this over with. Sharp leaves scraped against our faces as we pushed our way through the hole in the hedge. On the other side, we dropped to our hands and knees and crawled across the lawn. Even though we were pretty sure Broxholm wasn't home, we didn't want anyone else to see us and interrupt our mission. The lawn was drenched with dew. By the time we reached the porch, the knees of my pants were soaked through and I was freezing. Forget that thing I said earlier about thinking I was going to wet myself.
Well, now she could wet herself and no one would know.
Or she did, and she just doesn't want to admit
She's
it.
like, it's the dew.
And I'm Miles
peed on her
Davis.
It started in my crotch and it went down to my knees. It's the dew.
Do the do.
I don't know how girls pee, okay?
It's
How are we going to get in? Whispered Peter. Good question. It may sound stupid, but I had been so worried about what we were doing that I hadn't thought about how to do it. I don't know, I hissed back. How do people usually break into places?
Well, how did you break in last time?
I guess the door was unlocked last time.
You
I
turn
don't
into a
remember.
vapor and you go through a hole.
Peter looked at me in disgust. How would I know, Toots? He asked. I'm not the burglar. Well, neither am I snapped. I closed my eyes. Fighting wasn't going to get us anywhere. Let's circle the house, I said. Maybe we'll find an open window or something. I can't do a Hermione voice.
You're doing good.
You're doing great.
You're making up for it with your Peter voice.
Yeah.
Yeah. We crept along the side of the house. As Peter played his flashlight over the windows, I felt thankful for the hedge that masked us from the street. The poison ivy, too. Nothing on this side, he whispered. Check down low, I said. Maybe one of the cellar windows is open. But they were all sealed shut. Peter gestured towards the back of the house. And just around the back corner, we found one of those slanting cellar doors. It was padlocked shut, but the wood was half rotted. And when Peter shook the lock, the whole thing just came loose in his hand. Whoa! He set it aside. I should have had some like celery to go like. He set it aside and carefully lifted the door. It creaked for an eternity as it came open. I found myself staring down into a well of perfect darkness, perfect blackness. Dark, I whispered. Sure is, doll, said Peter. Then he took a step forward. I followed him, wondering if Broxholm had booby-trapped the place. Then I wondered what kind of booby traps an alien would use. Lasers that would cut us off at the knees? Stun guns? Freeze rays?
Pincers of peril?
Right, pincers of peril? Pictures of barrels. Hey, no, I can't see another one. Hey, these guys had come here from another star system. Who knows what they could do? We walked down 8 concrete steps. At the bottom, we came to a...
Yeah, I know.
Thank you for specifying.
Yeah.
We walked down 8 concrete steps.
Susan?
It was slightly moldy.
Susan.
Yeah, Susan?
Sorry.
What? At the bottom, we came to a wooden door so old it had a latch instead of a knob. Peter lifted the latch and pushed.
That's
Nothing.
old as fuck.
That's super
Right?
fucking old.
Holy shit, it's like Jesus times.
See an alien and a time traveler? What's going on?
That'd be great.
It's 1989. It's not that weird to have a door that has a latch on it.
Yeah, I'm like
We
looking at
haven't-
my house like it's like
Maybe
I know. Literally, I was like, our cedar chest has a door with a latch on
Yeah.
old. He put his shoulder against the door and shoved again. It swung open with an eerie creak. Oh, you got an eerie creak? After you, madam, I whispered. Madam? He's 6. He would have been like,
Madam, that
After
wasn't
you,
even an
madam.
what?
Wow.
Well, at least
Milady. He tipped his
Milady.
fedora.
After you, my love. Well, at least shine your flashlight in there, I hissed. Well, at least shine it. He pointed his beam through the door. I couldn't see anything special, just a dusty cellar, the kind you expect in an old house. Let's go together, I whispered. Peter took pity on me. You dumb girl. And we stepped through the door side by side. He took pity on me? What the
I
fuck?
know. What?
I feel like Peter is like less physically capable than she is.
Oh, absolutely.
100%. He's like,
Sounds
I
like
read
a
books.
greedy little wimp.
yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like his
pollen.
bones
Yeah.
are made of glass.
And she's just like, gender norms.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think we're going to find anything down here, he said, shining his... I don't think we're going to find anything down here. He said, shining his light around the cellar. And I agreed, except for the furnace, the stairs up to the first floor, and the cobwebs. The space was completely empty.
Without speaking, he headed for the stairway. I ran into a cobweb. Like a girl. I shivered when the wispy, clinging threads brushed over my forehead.
Wispy.
Wispy. You don't suppose Broxholm has any friends here, do you? Whispered Peter when we were about halfway up the stairs. I stopped. I don't think so, I said after a minute. He didn't mention any when he was talking to the guy in the spaceship. Peter nodded. But
Sorry, I forgot that.
Yeah. Peter nodded, but he had managed to make me even more nervous than I had been to begin with. Bitch, this was your idea. God.
It was
What
his
is there-
idea.
What?
It was Peter's idea to break in again.
Oh, it was?
But she's already
done it. Exactly. What if there was another alien here? What would he do if he caught us snooping around? Where to, doll? Asked Peter when we reached the top of the stairs. Let's try the kitchen, I said, remembering his idea about alien food. But when we opened the refrigerator, all we saw were a bunch of cold cuts.
A bunch of cold cuts?
Awesome. A bunch of cold cuts?
Cold cuts as far as the eye can see.
But those wouldn't keep well. Any sandwich in the fridge isn't going to keep well. You don't want a bunch of them.
A bunch of cold cuts sounds like 5. Like 5 cold cuts.
It's
Bitch,
too many.
We got ham. We got
It's
oven roasted turkey. We got head cheese.
That's
It's like when they order too many sandwiches at work and then they sit around all day and they're like, they put them in the fridge and the next day they're like, there's still sandwiches, but they're all disgusting.
But even literally by the next day, they're disgusting.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You sounded excited.
I am excited because if I opened a fridge to a bunch of cold cuts, I'd be like, fucking score.
Aliens.
I would assume
That's what I would
instantly
think.
that they
aliens.
were soggy.
Soggy. Maybe it's his way of compensating for
Unless
being a
he
human. He's
lives
like,
in a pot belly. Like those cold cuts are shit.
maybe that's his way of compensating, and he's just like, what do humans put in fridges? Cold cuts. I'll have 10 cold cuts.
I come from Planet Subway.
Yes, I haven't kidnapped any kids yet, but you really should try the cold cuts on this earth.
Also, Italian cold cuts or American cold cuts, huge difference, and I need to know.
You got the Capricola, you got the Gabagool.
Because one's clearly better than Gabagool.
American cold cuts shouldn't exist. That's just like bologna and American cheese. It's
an American
horrifying.
cold cut is a middle finger pointed towards Italy. Yeah. I almost said Ireland, and I was like, nope, the other I one.
Like you hesitated trying to remember the word Italy.
I did hesitate.
Oh my God. I cannot tell you how excited I am to go to Richardson on Saturday and get, or no, I'm going to go to Massalone's tomorrow. Fuck it. I'm getting like the good shit. Yeah. Like,
what
what's that place?
It's Italian deli, like Mastalone's. It's down the street.
Mastalone.
I'm pointing like everybody will
right down the street.
It's
I've
right
never
there.
heard of it.
Yeah.
What is it? Is it a deli?
Yeah, Di Pasquale's bought it a while ago, but it's like that, you know, like yeah.
You know you're Baltimore when
at Di Pasquale's.
Then the next time you guys like come on by, we'll get sandwiches.
Hell yeah, get some cold cuts.
Sandwiches.
Yeah. Like normal humans.
Like normal humans.
Not aliens.
We'll get a bunch of cold cuts.
And a half empty carton of milk.
So in his fridge was a bunch of cold cuts. I'm never gonna get past that. A half empty carton of milk, a bottle of catsup.
That's ketchup, Jonathan. I know.
And two 6-packs of beer.
We are from France.
He sure doesn't eat like an alien, said Peter. Are you sure this guy is from another planet?
Well, we definitely know that he is a bachelor.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
He's single.
Hang on a second. He sure doesn't eat like an alien, said
no
Peter,
yogurt.
Let's go upstairs, I said. I'll show you the thing I saw him talking into. Peter closed the refrigerator door, grabbing a beer as he did so. But before he would leave the room, he insisted on checking the cupboards. He even opened the peanut butter jar to see if it really had peanut butter in it and not some kind of extraterrestrial goo like alien cum.
No.
The book's the one that said it.
It isn't.
The book is the one that put that idea in my mind.
The book said it.
The book said it. What do you think of extraterrestrial goo?
I don't know, like goo that's just like sloughing off a gooey alien.
Yeah,
it's this ectoplasm. Yeah. It's everywhere.
The second floor had 3 rooms. I had high hopes for the bathroom. What the fuck?
What?
I had high hopes for the bathroom. I had to take a shit. I thought we might find some sort of weird shampoo there or something. This alien has dandruff. The president. But it was It was as disappointing as the kitchen. It was just a bunch of cold cuts again in the bathroom.
You know,
and catsup.
Even the medicine cabinet was filled with cold cuts. Do you think Mr. Smith really uses Excedrin? Do you think Mr. Smith really uses Excedrin? Asked Peter. Or is this just here to convince people he's a teacher? Because you know how much we give him a headache. If he was stocking his house to fool snoopers, he'd have put in some furniture, I said.
Snoopers?
Snoopers?
Sorry. They like yelled that.
You pretty much
shouted it. Yeah.
I got it.
You got it.
The only place where we found anything even remotely alien was the room where I had seen Broxholm talking to the man on the ship. The 2 speakers that looked like pieces of flat plastic were still hanging on the wall. I looked under the dressing table and found the switch Broxholm had used to tune in his ship. I reached out to touch it, then pulled my hand back. What if I somehow turned it on and the man from the ship saw Peter and me standing there? Come on, said Peter. We might as well go.
It just reminds me of that time that they did the satellite link to the jail in Arrested Development, And George Michael had been watching, not realizing those were actual convicts, and the convicts are just like looking into the computer, and he's like, ah, and like turns it off. Holy shit! It's so
you don't
good.
believe me anymore, do you? I asked sadly. Peter shrugged. This place is kind of weird, and what with no furniture and everything.
And all these cold cuts.
But there's nothing that would make anyone think Mr. Smith is an alien. I believe that you believe what you told me, but whether it's true or not, he shrugged and turned to leave the room. He is an adult.
Yeah.
Tiny adult. I was trying to do like an old-timey noir guy voice, but I just sounded Southern. It didn't work at all. I'm really sad. I'm disappointed with myself.
I loved it.
Wait, I said, following him into the hall. We still didn't try that door. Peter swung his flashlight in the direction I was pointing. It's just the attic, he said. I knew that. I could tell by how narrow the door was. Mansplaining doors to me, Peter. But that wasn't the point. So what if it's an attic? I said. Maybe Broxholm has something packed away up there. Come on, Peter. We've gone this far. We can't give up now. Oh, all right, said Peter. He opened the door and started up the stairway. When he got about halfway up the stairs, his head passed the level of the attic floor. I was walking so close that I bumped into him when he stopped. What is it? I whispered. When he didn't answer me, I pushed my way up beside him and cried out in horror.
Cold cuts!
Chapter 9.
Cold cuts!
Cold cuts.
Chapter
Cold
9.
cuts as
So
far
many
as
cold
the eye
cuts.
can see.
This is making me want a cold cut so bad. Like, I'm going to have to go get a cold cut tomorrow.
Go to
Does
Mastalone's.
Not Luigi's. The place up the street.
Oh,
Is that the fucking
Pastorius?
place? Pastorius.
Yeah.
Do they do cold cuts?
They
oh,
do.
But wait, it was the shitty ones. Though.
We got the shitty ones last time. I ordered cold cuts last time, and they made us fucking American cold cuts. And I need to
Jonathan,
go to Jason's place.
Go to my place. I'll go
go to your. Okay.
Send
Yay.
it to us on Facebook.
We'll go to sandwiches tomorrow.
We'll
Go to
together.
sandwiches.
Yay!
Yay!
Brother
Lunch,
sandwiches.
lunch.
Brother sandwiches. Okay.
We'll walk in with drop the mic and we'll like, where?
Oh wait, I have that.
I know you do.
Chapter 9. The force field in the attic.
So low.
Yay!
All right.
For
I'm
a
here for
long time,
sandwiches.
neither of us said a word. Is she alive? I asked at last.
Uh-oh.
Peter didn't answer me.
Ooh.
Peter, I hissed, pinching his arm. Do you think she's alive? Peter turned to me. I could see his face in the blue glow that came from the thing in the center of the attic. His eyes were glazed and blank. I wasn't sure whether he even knew I was there. Peter, I hissed. He shook his head. You weren't kidding, were you? Of course I wasn't kidding. But do you know what this means? Yeah, it means we're in big trouble. Now let's get up there and see if we can figure out what's going on. An alien, said Peter, his voice filled with awe. Mr. Smith is an alien. We're not alone. What are you talking about? I hissed. Intelligent aliens. Mankind is not alone in the universe. Well, I'm feeling pretty alone right now. Are you going to help me or not? Peter closed his eyes and rubbed his face, pinching the bridge of his nose like an old man.
like an adult.
Suddenly, his awe turned to fear. Oh my God, he said.
His awe turned to fear.
What
Oh
if
my
Mr.
God.
Smith catches us here?
My portfolio. I have to call my broker.
I rolled my
He
eyes.
went, aw, shit.
Why do you think I've been so scared all night, you yo-yo?
What?
Suddenly, I realized what was going on.
You Von Druk.
You never did believe me, did you? I said angrily. You thought this was all just a joke. Peter
Well,
shook
you
his head.
literally told him that, but okay.
Yeah.
I believed you, he said, but I didn't really understand what it meant until I believed it
That was
this
a
way.
typo. I didn't have the
Yeah, I assumed, and I was right.
question marks. You were right.
Continue, Jason.
He shrugged helplessly. How do you shrug helplessly?
Like this.
Oh no! I was gonna take a cute picture of you and Dusty.
Oh,
Be cute again.
Be cute again? Okay, hang on.
Be cute again. Wait, you
Let
or
me
Dusty?
Hug him.
Both.
Dusty's
Hug
in my
him,
lap.
Hug him. Hi, Dusty.
Hi, everybody.
Dusty, shrug helplessly.
This is great radio.
Everything Dusty does, he does helplessly.
That's true.
Nice.
When Dusty walks into a room, he does so helplessly because he goes,
Oh, nice. Peter shrugged helplessly. I can't explain it, he said. I can't do the other British voice. Or the other voice. It didn't make any difference. I understood. He was feeling the way I felt when I saw Broxholm take his face off. Come on, I said. Let's get up there. Despite my brave words, I climbed the rest of those stairs pretty slowly. Peter climbed up beside me. Standing side by side, we stared at the terrible thing that we had found. In the center of the attic was a column of blue light. It was about 3 feet across and stretched from the floor to the peak of the ceiling. And in the center of it stood Mrs. Schwartz. It sounds like Ms. Schwartz. It sounds like Count Dooku just took her hostage. She's floating, like, I'm
she's in
floating.
Like the Jedi jail.
Yeah. Her eyes were wide open, but they hadn't blinked once in all that time that we've been looking at her. Ooh. And I said, do you need eye drops? Her frizzy black hair was standing straight out from her head as if she was getting some kind of horrible shock. And her hands were at her sides, palms forward, fingers separated, just like Zool. I looked carefully, but I couldn't tell if she was breathing. Is she alive? I asked again. I don't know, doll, said Peter. It's hard to tell. We stepped forward, and Ms. Schwartz.
It's so hard to say.
Hyacinths and thistles. Yeah. The air smelled funny, like somebody farted. My hair started to move by itself, and I could feel a strange tingling on my skin. It's a force field, said Peter, taking another step forward. I knew he was the right person to bring with me. Nerd.
This fucking nerd.
His fucking nerd. Only a person who reads that much science fiction would know what to call something like this. Now, only if he knew what to do about it. Also, girls. Unfortunately, he didn't. Also, girls.
Yep.
You could slide whistle sound. If I could figure like you're reaching for it and Becca's slapping you. Nice. I'm such an enabler. If I could figure out where it came. If I could figure out where it came from, maybe I could turn it off. Oh, wait.
No, that's the wrong one.
Sorry.
Still wrong.
If I could figure out where it came from, maybe I could turn it off. He told me, but I don't see any equipment.
Matthew McConaughey?
Yeah. It's hard to do that voice and not sound Southern. I never realized how closely related those voices were.
But I don't see any equipment. Besides, I'd be afraid of hurting Miss Schwartz. I nodded. Do you think she's okay in there? I asked, God. Blinking back a tear. Get it together, girl.
God.
How had Broxholm done this to her? Turn the page.
Alien.
Oh shit, there's a drawing.
Yeah.
Woo! Okay, we're looking at a lady with frizzy hair and basically what you just heard us talk about.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. We're looking at what was just described on the last page.
Very arty.
Maybe the handsome creep had tricked her into going out on a date with him.
Ew.
Gross. What a treat. A date with an alien. Isn't that what all women want? I can just imagine his line. Let's go. Now I almost want to do riff raff for some reason.
Let's go see a film.
Let's go see a film.
Yes,
then I'll take you back to my house and lock you in a force field. What a rat!
Hey, some people are into that.
My safe word is Broxholm.
We live in an age of wonder.
John's safe word is cold cuts.
My safe word is cold cuts.
Popcorn.
My every word is cold cuts. Oh, Miss Schwartz, I moaned. What are we going to do? I couldn't stand seeing her trapped like that. I stepped forward and I tried to reach out to touch her. Inappropriate. Don't, cried Peter when he saw what I was doing, but it was too late. I'd already laid my hand against the blue light. I felt a tingle run through my body. Ooh, I liked it. For a terrible instant, I thought I was going to be drawn into the force field too, but it didn't happen. What did happen was I heard a voice inside my head. Susan, don't worry about me. You've got to warn the others. She's German. It was Ms. Schwartz.
Oh, so she's like Frau Blucher?
Yes, that's what I said last episode. No one else got it.
Nice.
I got it.
He was my boyfriend. All I want in the world is for my page to have a dialogue from her.
Peter, I bet I'll get all of it, and I'm not gonna fucking do the voice.
Amazing.
Peter, I yelled, "Come here! Touch the force field! You can hear Ms. Schwartz!" I suppose it sounded crazy, but by this time he was ready to believe anything.
Idiot.
He pushed the dumb boys. He pushed through the heavy air that surrounded the force field and put his hands next to mine on the column of light. "Hello, Peter," said Ms. Schwartz. "Telepathy," whispered Peter and all. "These guys are amazing."
You sound fucking Southern.
I don't know what to do. I'm just doing what my gut says. "Yes,
stop being Southern."
"Yes, they are," said Ms. Schwartz inside our heads. "Amazing and dangerous." "What do they want?" I asked. "You," she said. I yelled and jumped back from the force field. The air around me felt so thick. It was hard to move through it. I realized I had lost my connection with Ms.
Turn the page. I need to know who it is.
Schwartz.
Nice.
Figured it out.
Pushing forward, I pressed my hands back against the force field. "I'm sorry," Ms. Schwartz said. "I didn't mean to frighten you." I looked at her face. Her eyes were staring straight ahead.
Gross.
It was weird to hear her voice inside my head when she was standing there like that, looking as if she had been frozen. "Don't worry about me," she said. I'm just imagining like a horror nightmare.
Yeah.
"Your job right now is to warn the others." Warn them
You
of
sound like
what?
Seinfeld.
No. About Broxholm.
What's
About
the deal with this
Broxholm?
force
His
field?
mission here is to find 5 students. Why am I doing that? To take back with him. Okay, this is important. I'm gonna not do Seinfeld so we can pay attention.
Do it.
His mission here is to find 5 students to take back with him. He plans to select the best, the worst, and the 3 most average kids.
It's a perfect bell curve.
And then make them guess which one they are.
You get the good, you get the bad, you get the ones in the middle.
What's he going to do with them? I asked. The voice inside my head sounded worried. "I don't know for sure. The plan is to bring them back here and head out into space the night of May 26th. But that's next week," I cried.
Oh no.
Ms. Schwartz moaned. "Oh, I didn't know so much time had gone by," she whispered. Okay, she moaned into a whisper, so I wasn't prepared for it. Bye. Whispered inside our heads. "I can't keep track inside here. Listen, you have to unmask him somehow. If you don't, you're all in terrible danger." Just then we heard the front door open and close. Talk about terrible danger. Broxholm was back.
What's the deal with Broxholm?
Shut up.
I'm sorry.
Chapter 10, Solo Effort. My mouth went dry. My hands started shaking. Peter's eyes were so wide, they looked like ping pong balls.
Yup, edibles.
Shh, cautioned Ms. Schwartz. Don't make a sound. Because he was also Robin Williams.
Oh my God.
I appreciated the advice, but I had already figured that much out on my own. What are we going to do? I thought. To my surprise, Ms. Schwartz answered me. Wait till he reports in, she said. Then you can sneak out.
Jesus fucking
Did you
Christ.
just read my mind, I thought? Just the message you sent me. She replied.
Oh my God, it's perfect.
Why are you so good at that?
That was a relief. There's a lot going on inside my head that I don't want anyone to know about, not even Ms. Schwartz.
Wait.
I looked around the attic.
Wait. You're going to just brush past that one, Susan?
It's a weird time in a child's life. If Broxholm came up here, we were sunk. I couldn't see a single thing to hide behind.
I wish it just said, like, in a PG-13 movie and you use it once, if Broxholm came up here, we were fucked.
Right. They always get one fuck.
Yeah, just like throw the one in there, make it count.
But I did not say fudge. Suddenly, I heard that horrible music again. This is our chance, I whispered. Oh, sorry, chance. He must be in his dressing room. I bet he's taking off his face and getting ready to report to the ship. Then let's go, said Peter. Wait, I said desperately. What about Miss Schwartz? We can't leave her here like this. You have to. She thought at us. I'm all right for the time being. The best thing you can do for me is unmask the alien. I still hesitated. Go! She shouted inside my head. The message was so powerful, I staggered back from the force field. Casting a look over my shoulder, I took Peter's hand. He didn't pull away. This wasn't romance, it was terror. Each of us needed someone to hold on to as we sneaked down the stairway and toward the rest of our lives.
No. I like that. There's no more Miss Schwartz. It's my turn. That's great.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But no one can top Rob. No one can top the Rob.
I was just gonna say, even if you get the chance to do Cloris Leachman.
I dodged a bullet. Yeah. When we reached the bottom, Peter opened the door as quietly as he could. The tiny click was lost in the awful screech of the alien music. Moving slowly, he peered around the edge. No one in sight, No one in sight, he whispered. Then let's go. My heart was pounding in my ears. I don't think I've ever been so frightened in my life, and I had a feeling that Broxholm would jump out and grab us at any second. For one horrible instant, I wondered if the mirror on his dressing table might be at the right angle to show our reflections as we stepped out of the attic. I imagined him racing into the hallway, his Mr. Smith face hanging down around his chin, like a mask, ready to turn us into a pair of puddles on the floor, or whatever a person from his planet did to kids he caught snooping in the attic.
And probably thinking too much of it, but so much, I don't know. There's so much description in this book about like ripping his mask off and like her daydream about trying to get it off and like talking about it coming off, even when it's not off, and then when it is off. I just feel like that's a lot. It feels like an allegory. It probably isn't.
I think it's just like, it's so gross. Like it's for kids. That's all I'm thinking is just like,
is that the grossest thing you can think of?
The author's I got the one goddamn thing. I got.
When was V?
84 and 85.
So like 80s. So like that's another thing. I think
definitely
like ripping their faces off.
This book. I don't know anything about V.
And V, the Final Battle, were definitely out by this time.
Oh yeah,
fucking old people.
But aren't that like?
How dare you?
But that's what this is also making me think of is like alien
visitors are our friends, Bekah.
And ripping their faces off and be like.
I immediately thought of V, and I just didn't say it. Yeah.
Yay!
Yeah. Hooray!
The only thing I know about V is V baby, and I don't know what that even means. I just know the words.
Yeah, because there's a baby alien.
Does it pull its face off?
There's twins. One of them is a disgusting lizard who dies after a couple days, and the other one is the key to peace, and she says pretenama, which means peace in the alien language, and she just touches the controls. She also accelerated growth, and she saves the Earth, and then the Beastmaster is happy.
Nice. Well, that's a fucking bummer for the lizard baby.
Yeah. Not so much. Well, the lizard baby got a second life as a gag reel in ER.
Oh,
really?
Yeah. Did you ever see that?
No, but I'll be looking that up. My friend Pat has a casting of the lizard baby, and I'm so fucking jealous.
Someone got a hold of like, I don't know if it was the lizard baby prop or just like a casting or what, but they had the lizard baby from V, and someone snuck it into a scene of ER without telling anyone. Awesome. So it was like George Clooney or whoever the fuck, like they're giving birth, they're delivering a baby.
And it's it was
the lizard baby from V.
For this and more fun facts about the show V from the 80s, you can listen to Jason and Jonathan's new show, Jason and Jonathan Have VD. V discussion.
Yes. Excellent. I would
coming
totally
soon do it on Cactus Radio.
I love the V baby's like breathing, because he's going like but they like put that filter on it so it sounds like all like otherworldly, and you're like, that's just, it sounds like
it's just like a phase shift filter.
Yeah, when you would talk into a fan.
Yes.
Yeah, that's, we used to do the V noise all the time with the fan. Mom would yell at us, "You're gonna hurt your tongue." We'd be like, "Shut up, Mom.
You're gonna hurt your tongue."
Fuck you, Dad. Yeah.
Lindsay texted something funny. Sorry.
Oh,
all right.
What did Lindsay text?
This isn't going to be good for the listener.
Oh, okay.
Bekah wants everybody to know that she's not laughing at Jonathan and I, but it's something on her
phone.
I'm
just laughing at my friends on my phone because I'm cooler than you guys.
Nice.
I'm just laughing at the group text. You guys aren't in it.
Fuck you, Summer.
I'm in enough of those.
That was a real summer.
Like, thank you.
Yeah.
I wasn't even trying for that.
No, you sounded.
Next time.
You sounded exactly like summer. Have you been watching? Sorry, as an aside, have you been keeping up with the new episodes?
No, I've only seen the first one.
Yeah.
Oh my god!
A tangent on a tangent. No, I need to download them because they're just
on a hat.
You can't fucking.
Why can I do like terrible girl voices really well? Because I can do Alexis really well too.
Because
I'm not like a girl like that.
No,
but I'm sure you've met a few.
Yeah.
It's because it's because you are a great girl and you just can't do it.
Is that from something?
No, I don't know.
I'm just
Is that an aside to the aside to the
whenever
aside?
you guys say something that slightly doesn't make sense, I assume it's a Simpsons reference that I don't remember.
I mean, that's a fair assumption.
That is
like 99.9% of the time, that's what's happening.
Bekah, that is a perfectly cromulent assumption.
I get that one.
You get that one.
That you have embiggened the evening.
Something yesterday. I was like, whenever I hear this, it makes me think of Simpsons, and you like exasperately went, "Why?" Because like you had no idea why.
Well, because you say it like I'll know, and I never know. I don't know because I didn't know what it was.
It's fine. It doesn't matter. Everything makes me think of the Simpsons,
and I only get sad because I feel left out.
Now play classical gas. Yeah, it's the seasons 1 through 6 are playing on a loop in my head.
On a loop, yeah.
It just jumps around. It's ridiculous. All right. The screeching music continued. Still moving slowly, Peter closed the door behind us. It seemed like a waste of time until I realized he was afraid that if he didn't secure it, the door might swing open after he let go of it. One noise like that, and we were dead meat. Dropping to our hands and dead meat, Jesus. Shit just got real. Dropping to our hands and knees, we crawled along the edge of the wall. I couldn't help it. While I was in the opposite door of Broxholm's room, I glanced in. Broxholm was sitting there, peeling off his face. I prayed he wouldn't see me, and I crept forward. We slid down the stairs, slipped out of
yeah,
sliding down the stairs like all this wet tuna.
It is impossible for a child to sound quiet going downstairs.
Yeah.
We rolled our bodies down the stairs like
we got into the Rubbermaid containers and tumbled down the stairs. We slipped out the front door.
I saw a Lego model nearby and I threw it.
Yeah, we slipped out the front. See you in hell, candy boy. Slipped out the front door and ran for all we were worth. After about 3 blocks, we stopped to catch our breath, but not for long. In addition to everything else, I was worried that since Broxholm was back, my parents might be home too. But when we reached my house, I could see I'd made it back first. That wasn't too surprising, so why did I say it like that? My folks often stayed to gab with other parents about after the formal meeting was over. It was even possible that the meeting was still going on and Broxholm had managed to slip out early.
Or it had turned into a key party.
Oh boy. That's what PTA officer actually means.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't want to know what the P stands for in PTA, am I right?
Or the T. Or the A.
Or the A. Wow. School's
filthy. Wow, yeah. I was like, I got a bunch. None of them are clever. Okay. Peter walked me to my door like a gentleman. I thought that was brave of him, especially when I watched him walk off into the darkness and I realized how frightened I would be if I had to go home alone. That skinny kid had more courage than anyone I knew. What I didn't know is that he was pissing himself as he ran away. It's always the stuff that I don't expect to break Chris that breaks Chris. As for me, I was fucking terrified. I went around and turned on every light in the house. Don't ask me what good I thought that would do. All I know is it made me feel better. All right? Then I sat in the living room waiting for my parents to come home and worry that Broxholm might show up first. And she sat there and they came home and she was like, I was just sitting here reading the Bible.
Yeah, the Bible.
Oh, crap. She's still here. Every time we go to one of these meetings, we hope she isn't here when we get back. I did not know
Becca, stop listening. She's just texting.
I'm listening. I just didn't get the reference.
No, I know.
No, you hang up.
All in all, I decided it had been a good night's work. Even if I hadn't found anything to prove my story, at least one other person now knew what was going on. Also, we discovered our fucking teacher was trapped. Oh, okay. Even more important, we had found Miss Schwartz. I was a little bit ahead of that. But what should we do now? The crucial thing was to reveal Broxholm for what he really was. But how could we do that without getting turned into puddles on the floor? And
why is she so convinced that that's the outcome?
Yes, that's what I want to know.
He might be like, we're scientists, dude. We just want to borrow some people.
Yeah. Well, I don't even have the technology.
We just want to take DNA samples.
She's just like, he's gonna liquefy me.
And he's like, what kind of monster do you... How dare... Fuck this planet.
It's like, ew, you're really sick.
Yeah.
Our only advantage was that he didn't know we were his... he didn't know we knew his secret.
Yeah.
If we could... Yeah. If we could make whatever we did seem innocent, he might not guess what we were up to. Of course, the most obvious thing was to just pull off his mask. But how do you pull a mask off an alien's face?
How?
How? Oh. I spent the whole night trying to find the courage to do what I knew I had to do the next day. Pull his mask
Blow a little boogie in it.
With my hands. Oh, right.
Who's Mr. Bamwick?
He's like the music teacher. What was his name? Like Boom Bamwick or some bullshit like that?
Boom Bamwick?
Something like that.
All right.
I don't remember.
Mr. Bam Margera had scheduled me for an extra lesson that morning. As usual, Smith/Broxholm shuddered when he saw me pick up my piccolo. Let him shudder. If he kidnapped me, maybe I'd play my piccolo all the way to the next galaxy. And it sounds like this. The reason for the extra lesson was that Bam Boom. Oh, that's right. Bam Boom Bamwick wanted me to work on a solo he had asked me to play for the spring concert. A piccolo solo. Is that a thing that exists?
Probably.
Are you sure, though? I feel like a piccolo isn't a thing that you want to listen to by itself with nothing else.
I like to think that the piccolo solo would be like Joey Santiago's solos in the Pixies, and it's just like, poo, poo. Like just like one note, and kind of maybe it flutters a little.
Susan has like a can of soda and she's just like rubbing it against the piccolo, making weird noises.
Yeah.
Isn't that what Joey Santiago would do? He'd just like
slide piccolo,
like slam shit into his guitar to make shit.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
But I feel like all his solos were like, it's just like this one little thing. It's fucking awesome. Yeah.
All right, Pixies. Moldies, stop talking about
Joey
the Pixies.
Piccolo?
No, Joey Santiago is the guitarist for the Pixies, but she's playing
guitarist for the Pixies.
She's playing her piccolo solo. But the point I was making was, do you have a piccolo solo?
Yeah, it could be like a Ron Burgundy kind of thing,
like jazz flute,
like jazz flute. Yeah. Chew eat the poop. Chew eat it.
As she ends the solo by what's that? God damn it.
Play
Aqualung.
Play Aqualung. It's like, no, tune in to Jonathan and Jason.
She finishes her solo by going, sitting on a park bench.
Tune into Jason and Jonathan's new podcast, Pixies Pals.
No, it's called Manic Pixie Dream Guys.
Nice. So much better.
I had it ready and locked and loaded. Then you went into Anchorman.
Just sat on it. No, you know what? You still got it.
It paid off.
John and I could be all like Zooey Deschanel, like, oh, hey guys, welcome to their picture show.
That sounded just like her.
Just be like,
you. I've been working on it.
I guess I like the Pixies. I guess.
I guess. I mean, the Pixies are okay. I guess.
Okay, I guess. Yeah.
I mean, whatever.
Okay. Where the fuck am I? Okay. The reason for the extra
You're playing the ukulele.
Was that Bam Boom wanted me to work on a solo he had asked me to play for the spring concert. Remember their teacher named Bam Boom Bamwick?
Bam Boom.
We were doing the greatest march of all time, The Stars and Stripes Forever. Fucking God Bless America by John Philip Sousa. If you don't know it, this is in parentheses. If you don't know it, you should go to your library, get a record of it so you can listen to it. It's great.
Is that goddamn America, motherfuckers?
Is that Susan, or is that Bruce Coville being like, I need children to listen to John Philip Sousa?
Hey, marches were big.
Sousa is
Oh, like Mars Attacks?
Descendant. No, a descendant, or Susan is a descendant of Sousa, trying to push the Sousa agenda.
The Sousa agenda?
All I think of is the Venture
Sousa
Brothers.
propaganda.
The Sousa phone. I forget the guy's name. My little cuttlefish. That guy.
Colonel Gentleman?
No,
he was the
Red Mantle.
Was it Red Mantle?
One of them.
Anywho, it's great. Go to your library.
Oh, wait.
Go to your library.
You're talking about fucking Dr. Dugong.
Dr. Dugong.
Yeah.
I'm confusing it. Dr. Dugong did the cuttlefish. It was one of the council that was like, he had a sousaphone.
Sousaphone, yeah. It was the Buddy Holly and Big Bopper.
Yes,
Red Mantle and Dragoon.
Yeah, they had the two heads.
Christ.
Fucking yes.
See, I can't think of how the Stars and Trips Forever sounds off the top of my head.
I can't either.
But I bet it's not worth the trip to the library.
I bet it's not.
Look it up.
It's probably just one of those. Yeah,
like a marching band song.
With like the like that all that noise in the background.
What if the Stars and Trips Forever?
A bunch of piccolos.
But what if it was like I know it's not, but that would be amazing if that's like.
Wait, what is that called?
I think that's shit. Well, that's just like the clowns.
It's the Calliope music.
But I bet there's a name for it.
Oh, there definitely there's got to be a name for it.
It's the theme to America.
Currently. Okay, I literally can't get over the parentheses of the endorsement of John Philip Sousa. Anyway, the high point of the March is this incredibly neat, incredibly difficult piccolo solo. What in the absolute fuck is she talking about?
The thing that drives me crazy is I'm going to look up this song after this to hear the piccolo solo.
I'm definitely gonna look it up.
It's probably got like 19 verses and it's like worse than church music. Like,
I just want to know, I just want to know if there's an actual piccolo solo. And also, how the fuck would I know? Like, what does a piccolo actually sound like? I know I've been doing it for the last 2 episodes.
They're just like really high pitch. It's like a flute but higher pitch.
Yeah.
It's more like
Jesus Christ.
Or maybe it's
Oh,
she's gonna end up having to play the piccolo to like break out of some like an alien jail or something.
That's what I'm saying. It's gonna be like Mars Attacks with what's his face, the yodeler.
Chekhov's piccolo.
It's Chekhov's piccolo.
I was thinking of Prometheus, where it's like, hey, I want to take the spaceship out. On the recorder.
Oh yeah.
And in the theater, everybody was like, "What the fuck?"
And then
I love that movie. I don't care.
I do. I love that movie.
I do too.
Yeah.
Mr. Bamwick had told me way back in February that he wanted our band to do this march for 7 years. What?
This is more confusing than the rest of the book has been.
What's really confusing is that 7 years ago, she was in pre-K.
Jesus Christ, yes, she was.
He said he had just been waiting until he had a piccolo player good enough to handle the solo, and now he thought he had one.
He was like, Susan,
me.
When you were born, it was like Harry Potter, except instead of
You're
saving
the
world
piccolo.
with magic, I just knew you could play a piccolo solo when you were in 6th grade.
I was flattered that he had so much faith in me. The problem was I didn't have that much faith in me. Oh, I could do most of the solo, right? Most of the time. But there was one trill near the end that I always messed up.
Dude!
Let me tell you, if you're going to play something in concert, you don't want to get it almost right. You want it perfect. But Mr. Bamwick was determined we would play the Stars and Stripes Forever that spring or die trying. The way my lesson was going that Friday, it looked as if we were going to die. Why the fuck would she care about this when there's a literal alien in her life?
Maybe he's another alien from a different planet that has a different agenda to torture people with music.
And she's just so like enraptured by the thought of being the best piccolo player.
Well, wouldn't anyone?
Got her. Come on, Susan, said Mr. Bamwick after I messed up for the 3rd time. The concert is next week. Did you practice last night? I shook my head. I didn't have time, I said. I knew it sounded pretty lame, but how could I tell him I hadn't practiced because I'd been prowling through my teacher's house trying to find evidence to prove he was an alien? I could see Mr. Bamwick trying to control himself. I have to give him credit. He knows that it doesn't do any good to make a kid feel stupid. But I could tell he really wanted to explode. By the time I left his room, I was pretty upset myself. But it wasn't all bad. Being angry gave me the strength to do what I had to do. Taking a deep breath, I marched back to my room. I paused outside the door and took another deep breath. Then I went through the door, staggered over to Mr. Smith's desk, and pretended to faint. On the way down, I grabbed for his ear.
Oh, no.
Shit! Oh, there's a drawing
a picture.
Of it. See, he does look like Carrie Elwes.
Yeah.
He does.
Stand by that.
Chapter 11. Bankruptcy.
God damn it.
Parent conference. Failure. I had hoped to hit the floor with Mr. Smith's face in my hand and Broxholm's real mug exposed for all the world to see. Instead, I ended up with a handful of air and a bump on the head. Like an idiot. The other kids in the class shouted and jumped to their feet. Smith Broxholm waved them away. He told Mike Ferrand to go get the nurse. Then he knelt over me to see if I was all right. He was acting so tender and concerned and handsome that I almost felt bad about trying to pull off his face because it was so handsome. But all I had to do was think of Ms. Schwartz trapped in that force field in his attic, and any guilt I might have felt just floated away right away. Susan, are you all right? He asked, fanning my face. I moaned and fluttered my eyes. What happened? You fainted, said Broxholm. He patted the side of his head. Almost took my ear with you, he added. He gave me a cute little smile that showed the dimple in his right cheek. Swoon. Between the two of us, the air was thick with fake innocence. Gross. Ew. Was it really possible he didn't know what I was up to? A minute later, Mike came running back with Mrs. Glacka puffing along behind him. She checked my pulse, felt my forehead, and then helped me to her office to, surprise, lie down. She also decided to call my mother. This meant that I had to go home.
I thought Chris ad-libbed that until I looked up.
The surprise?
Because I was thinking, yeah, that's all nurses do. You just lie down.
I was just going to say that's the realest thing in this entire book.
That was just in the book.
My school nurse in middle school, everything was an ice pack. Like your arm could be falling off and it would be like, here's an ice pack.
Nice.
This meant that I had to go home and then to the doctor's and then spend the rest of the afternoon in bed with my mother fussing and worrying about whether or not I was about to get my first period.
What the
Jeez.
fuck?
Are you there, Broxholm? It's me, Susan.
I must discover the aliens.
She even decided that I had to spend the evening in bed too after she brought my supper to my room.
Jesus Christ, the period thing.
Didn't I make a period joke last episode about this?
I don't remember.
I think I did.
I was drunk.
Gracious, Susan. This place looks like an explosion in a garage sale. Can you keep it a little neater? I was planning to clean it today, I said, only I didn't feel up to it after I fainted. Oh, wait, she's also British, right? Paul, wait, who's saying all this? The
wait,
mom?
who is this? Is this the mom? Because I don't think we've even met her yet.
I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
The mom.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's the mom.
We always do Julia Child.
Oh, baby, she said, setting the tray down on my head. She seemed so pleased. I decided not to tell her that I had been kidding. She never could understand that I liked my room the way it was. Idiot. After supper, I slipped out of bed and went to see my father. That's her slipping. He was sitting in his den, building a model of the Empire State Building out of toothpicks. You know, like dads do. That's his hobby, making famous buildings with toothpicks. You know, like dads do. If you ask me, it's pretty weird. Fuck you. Models are good.
It's a pretty dad thing to do, honestly.
Yeah. Oh, it absolutely is. Cheers,
he was sitting in his den reading a book about the Civil War and looking at a picture of a train.
Yes. His pipe puffing, his hand in his cardigan pocket, his slippers supple as he had just oiled them.
Football on somewhere in the background, distantly.
Yes. A dog cries in the distance. But it keeps him happy, which is more than I can say for most adults I know. So I guess I shouldn't complain. Jesus Christ, this kid has the weight of the world. Like, all adults are sad and miserable. Or they're aliens. Wah, wah.
Wah, wah.
Hi, Pook, he said when I walked in. Feeling better? Oh, wait, he's British too, right? I guess by transubstantiation or whatever.
He can be whatever you want him to be.
"Hi, Poke," he said when I walked in. "Feeling better?" I nodded, not wanting to tell him I hadn't been feeling bad to begin with. And I sat down next to him and started handing toothpicks. "So what was on your prepubescent mind tonight?" He said, he said, yes, very specific, Dad.
What?
He said, holding
if
up
my father said that to me when I was 11, I think my heart would stop. Like,
Yeah.
He would have
what
died.
the fuck?
Wow.
Well, what's on my mind now is you talking about my transformation into a womanhood inappropriately. Yeah. He said, holding up a toothpick and dabbing a bit of glue onto the end of it. "Dad," I said, but that was all I could think of because that's fucking weird thing to say to a kid.
Yeah.
I tried, but I just couldn't bring myself to explain the situation. And after a full minute of silence, he turned to me and said, "Are you all right, Suzanne?" I knew he was really concerned because he let the glue on the end of the toothpick dry out while he was waiting for my answer. "Dad, those toothpicks are really expensive," I said. "I'm fine," I said at last. "Well, not exactly fine. I've got a problem." "What kind of problem?" he asked. He put down
Not every problem can be solved by toothpicks.
Yeah. He sings a little song about how a toothpick fixes everything.
Oh my God.
He put down his toothpick and gave me his full attention. And that was terrible. Can you imagine trying to tell your father that your teacher is an alien? He was going to think I was out of my mind.
I just had to do something. So I took a deep breath and said, "It's about Mr. Smith." He nodded, inviting me to continue. Look, I tried. I really did. But I just couldn't bring myself to say the words. I couldn't bring myself to say the words, "My teacher is an alien." After a long, uncomfortable silence, I finally said, "I don't think he likes me very much." Dad looked appropriately worried. "Why not?" he asked. "Well, he shudders whenever he sees me go to my music lesson." I hoped that might sound weird enough to get him to ask another question.
Okay, sorry. Spoiler alert. I bet she plays the piccolo and it it shuts him down somehow.
That's what I was saying, like Mars Attacks.
Okay, yeah.
Like with the
his music's all screechy, but the piccolo's all melodic. But I bet to him he's like, "Oh, it hurts my ears and it disrupts me momentarily."
Yeah, I think they already kind of covered that.
Are these melodies
before he hates her playing it? Yeah.
This 4/4 time confuses my brain.
I'm with you 100%. It's a Mars Attack situation. She plays the piccolo and his brain's like, "Can't take it," and he leaves. Come on, Dad, help me, I thought. Ask the right questions. But he just laughed. As long as Mr. Smith doesn't actually say anything, I don't think you can complain too much, he said. Maybe the guy just doesn't like music. Not everyone can be as cultured as we are, you know. He probably just a Philistine. Yeah, I thought, a Philistine. From the planet Phyllis. Good one, Susan, I said to myself. But all I said aloud was, yeah.
Syphilis.
Yeah, a Philistine. Figuring he had solved my problem, Dad turned back to his toothpicks, as he always does. "I wouldn't let it get to you, honey," he said. "The school year's almost over. You can tough it out until then. Now, you better scoot back to bed before your mother catches you out here." I gave him a hug and I trudged back to my room. Now what? If I was going to do anything about this mess, I had to get some proof, and fast. I was still trying to figure all that out when Peter called. "Nice try today," he said. "You're really brave. I just hope Broxholm doesn't figure out what you are up to." Great. That was the last thing in the world I wanted to think about. "I wasn't brave," I said, "just desperate, like all women. What I want to know is, what are we going to do next?"
Stop here.
I was thinking that. Yeah, what chapter is this?
End of chapter 11.
11.
We're 57% through.
57. That's that's not bad. Kind of. Yeah.
There's like 3 pages left until the end of the next chapter.
All right, let's do
One
that.
more chapter.
Yeah, we'll do chapter 12 and then we're done.
Yeah.
All right. You got to go back.
Oh, yeah, there we go. We've got to find some way to prove the truth about Broxholm. Actually, that's why I'm calling, said Peter. I wanted to know if you had a camera. Sure, why? He hesitated, then said, well, are you game for another expedition into Broxholm's lair? Is that the only thing they're going to fucking do this entire book?
They're just going to keep going back to his house, yeah.
I smiled for the first time that day. So we can take a picture of Ms. Schwartz. Peter, you're brilliant. Only when can we be sure he won't be there? How about during school?
Thank you.
All right, Peter. Peter, I can't skip school. My mother would kill me. Would you rather get kidnapped by aliens? He asked. I sighed. All right. I'll bring my camera to school on Monday. We'll talk about it then. I hung up and tried not to think about the fact that in 2 days I was going back into the aliens' den. In fact, I spent most of that whole long sleepless night trying not to think about it.
Chapter 12. Things get weirder. I didn't think it was all that weird when Stacy Benoit called me Saturday morning to see how I was doing. But if you read the chapter title, you knew that was not the case. After all, she's my friend, and she did think I had fainted in school the day before. I didn't realize when I laughed and told her there wasn't anything wrong with me that I was only confirming her worst fears. I didn't figure that out until Monday morning when our class turned into something from the Twilight Zone.
I'm not sure.
Until that point, I had other things to worry about, like what to do about Ms. Schwartz. Since my mother still wouldn't let me out of the house, I spent a long time discussing this force field thing with Peter over the phone. He told me he was pretty sure Ms. Schwartz was actually safer inside that thing than she would be walking the streets.
Walking the streets at night like she did.
Yeah, it's dangerous out there.
Like kids do.
Yeah.
She probably doesn't like it in there, he said. I know I wouldn't, but nothing's going to hurt her. Well, doesn't she have to eat or go to the bathroom or something? I asked nervously. I could almost see Peter shrug over the telephone line. I don't think so, he said. I have a feeling time is pretty much holding still inside that thing. So unless she had to go to the bathroom when he put her in there, she's probably fine.
That would be horrible.
Why would you know that, though, also?
If she spent the whole time having to pee.
Oh, that would suck.
Here's where it gets product of its timing. He paused, then added, come to think of it, that force field could be a woman's dream. She won't age a bit. Don't be a male chauvinist piglet, I said angrily. This is serious. I know it's serious, snapped Peter, but we can't do anything about it this weekend, unless you know of a time when we could be sure that Broxholm won't be there.
Peter, you dick.
I suppose you're right, I said. But the thought of Ms. Schwartz trapped in that force field gnawed away at me for all the rest of the day and all of Sunday, too. I had to get her out of there. I was still stewing about that on Monday until things got so weird that I forgot about Ms. Schwartz for a while. It started with Duncan Dougal, who walked into class carrying the biggest apple I've ever seen in my life. Do we know who Duncan Dougal is?
He's a bully.
He was bullying Peter at the beginning of the book.
It's like a dumb dummy.
Good morning, Miss Smith, he said. How are you today? His voice was how are you today? His voice was so syrupy sweet, it made me want to throw up. I looked away and then looked back again so fast it put a crick in my neck. Duncan? I thought in astonishment. The class bully put his apple on Mr. Smith's desk, then went to his own desk, sat down, folded his hands neatly in front of him. I squeezed my eyes shut. I think he's been replaced.
Oh.
I squeezed my eyes shut and opened them again to see if anything would change, but the apple's still there, and Duncan was still sitting at his desk, smiling like a little angel.
He's the one bad kid.
He's the
dumb kid.
Yeah.
And Peter's going to be the good kid, and she's going to be one of the average idiot kids.
Or she's just not going to be chosen.
Well, she is a girl, if this book is telling us anything.
She's pretty good at Piccolo, and she's not that good at her other shit.
Yeah, she's very average.
Mr. Smith's Broxholm is probably just like, I don't want anything to do with that much.
I knew this job was a punishment.
Yeah. What was going on here? When I opened my desk, I found a note that said, I think you are the bravest person I had ever met. And it was signed, a friend. Who would this come from and why? What the fuck? What the fuck? I looked around the room, but the others were all bent over their desks, working busily away. So I turned back to my work, trying to figure out what was going on. But even the weird stuff that had happened so far hadn't prepared me for what came next. You pig-faced baboon! Yelled a familiar voice. Stacy? Stacy Benoit?
False.
The girl, what, you pig-faced baboon? The girl most likely to be declared a saint while still living? I turned around and saw Stacy standing beside her desk, shouting at Mike Foran, the only kid I'd ever heard who had never gotten in trouble with a teacher.
This is a new character. Shut up! Yelled Mike. Shut up, you creep! When Stacy slapped him across the face, I almost fell out of my chair. Of course, Stacy couldn't slap that well, being a girl and having never done it before. So it was kind of a whimpy little slap, but this was Stacy Benoit for fuck's sake. Stacy, yelled Mr. Smith, who was sitting at the back of the room.
He yelled it. I want to hear it yelled.
Stacy!
There you go.
Yelled Mr. Smith, who was sitting at the back of the room with a reading group
from the Bible.
Yeah.
A reading from the
Bible
with a reading from the book of Ephesians.
Michael laughing the whole
book
time.
Of Michael.
What is going on up there? He started for the front of the room. But I could read.
It says I but.
It says I but he was too late. I bet he was too late.
Get a editor, Bruce Coville.
Good work, Bruce Coville. Are you an alien? When Stacy slapped Mike, he jumped up so fast he knocked his desk over. His face was red. I didn't realize until later it was from stage fright. What? His face was red. I didn't realize until later it was from stage fright. He couldn't perform. Your mother wears your mother wears. I wanted to prompt him. It was
your mother wears.
Your mother wears. It was pathetic to see the nicest kid in the class try to come up with a withering insult, and even more pathetic when he finally finished up with, your mother wears polyester. But it seemed to do the trick. Stacy began to shriek in rage.
Outrage.
Outrage. Began to shriek in outrage. Mr. Smith reached them just in time to keep them from going for each other's throats.
Jesus.
The rest of you stay in your seats, he ordered. I'll be back in a minute. Then he walked out the door, dragging the two best behaved kids in 6th grade along with him. They were kicking and screaming every step of the way. I closed my eyes. I shook my head like a 40-year-old woman. I was sure I was awake. So what was going on? Was this the same planet I had gone to sleep on?
Be sure to try the Uberbraten. Uderbraten.
I couldn't wait for recess so I could talk to Peter. Bum, 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 bum.
Tune in next week.
What will happen at the end of My Teacher is an Alien?
Now I need to know. Oh, man.
Right? That's how we get you.
You're going to have to listen.
You're going to have to listen.
God damn it. I hate listening.
Just do it while you work.
Oh, right. Okay.
Listen while you work.
Well,
all right.
That was
fantastic.
Yay! Thank you for joining us.
I have a theory.
What's your theory, Chris?
The teacher left the note. Maybe they're recruiting kids to fight a greater threat.
Oh, so he's not a bad guy.
Why would kids help fight any threat?
How could kids
help?
Well,
you know, people don't give kids enough credit.
I'll be back in a sec. Hang on.
Okay.
Yeah, that's my thoughts.
I was just about to wrap this up, and then Jason walked away. Well,
okay.
Well, you know what?
I'd like to hear Chris's theory. Fight a bigger threat in the universe?
Yeah, maybe. Well,
like worse
there's
aliens?
Like 3 more books after this one.
But kids are dumb and small.
Yeah, they're awful.
Why would they need a dumb kid and some average kids and one good kid?
But it's a book for kids. So maybe it's like we need a ragtag group.
All your skills combined.
Holy shit.
Because the following books are My Teacher Fried My Brains, My Teacher Glows in the Dark, and then My Teacher Flunked the Planet.
Oh, there's 4.
Yeah.
Well, that's
He's written over 100 books.
What?
Yep.
Well, I mean, he's been doing it for over 30 years. So
and the titles of my favorite series when I was in elementary school, the Space Brat series, are Space Brat 2, Blork's Evil Twin, Space Brat 3, The Wrath of Squat.
Blork's Evil Twin.
Blork sounds like something John would have come up with.
Hold on, it gets even better.
Yeah.
Space Brat 3, The Wrath of Squat.
I want to read
Space
Space
Brat 4, Planet
Space
of
Bat.
the Dips.
What? Dips?
And then concluding with Space Brat 5, The Saber-Toothed Pood Newbie.
What did I walk out for a minute and I come back and I'm hearing about food newbies. I'm like,
It doesn't make a lot more sense even having been here the whole time.
I guess you're going to have to listen to the episode.
When I was a professional wrestler, the saber-toothed pood newbie was my finishing move.
Ew. It sounds so dirty somehow.
Well, thank you for listening. Find us Cactus Radio, cactusrodeo.com/podcast. Just subscribe to our podcasts, look up our stuff, Pop Socket Theater, etc., etc. Jason, what do you want people listening to know about you?
That I like to make things. I just got I was just on a bunch of like video podcast things or whatever those things are called.
Those are called interviews.
Yeah, I've been interviewed a bunch. Actually, I'm being interviewed again on Tuesday. And I can talk more about it in September, but right now I'm under crippling non-disclosure agreements. So so life's pretty great during the pandemic, apparently, like for old Jason.
Yay! What's your website?
JasonEatonStudio.com.
Cool.
Yeah.
Go there.
Yeah, go there and see the dumb shit I make. Wee.
All right.
What's your website called?
CactusRodeo.com.
Cool. Anybody else want to plug a thing?
All my stuff's there.
All her stuff's there.
Yeah.
Brought to you by
Orangina. At Chris Z isn't funny. No punctuation.
What
the fuck was that?
Alexa, stop.
When did she start playing?
Oh, and we got to see John Wick.
Computer magic.
We got to see John Wick 3 soon.
Yes.
Fuck yes.
We've been watching the John Wicks with Jason and Lisa, and
now that we've all been vaccinated and it's summer, we've had plans every weekend for like 2 months straight, and I want to fucking kill myself. It's too much.
It's too much.
Yeah, it is too much. I the next like 2 weeks are pretty action packed. I'm actually finally going up to visit some friends in Connecticut. We're having a gentleman's weekend, which sounds like it could be a little lascivious or naughty, but really it's just like 7 guys in
like a bunch of nerds.
Yeah,
the highways in Connecticut look like they're outside of time.
Yeah, it's like literally going to be like the real world, except we're just going to be talking about like shit on the X-Wing fighter and eating pizza. So I can't
awesome.
Tell you how excited I am.
Yeah.
See, I would love to go to something called a gentleman's weekend, but I'll never get to go because I'm a stupid girl.
No, you can have a gentleman's weekend. Who gives a shit? Gentlewoman's weekend.
It'll just be like me and Kelly.
Yeah.
But that's fine. We'll do it.
Smoking cigars and going like, why are we doing this to our bodies?
Sounds amazing.
All right. Tune in next time to find out what happens at the end of My Teacher is an Alien. And until then...
Are we going to finish it next time? We have 40% of the book left.
Shit. Yes.
All right.
Tune in to next time's episode that's extra big with no tangents.
Not at all.
Not at all. All right. Thanks for listening. We love you. Bye.
Bye. Below Grade Level is a Cactus Radio production. You can contact us at podcast@cactusrodeo.com. Subscribe and follow on iTunes, Stitcher, and Spotify, and follow Cactus Rodeo on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter for more entertainment and updates.